All right, let's kick it off. Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of Great Things with Great Tech, the podcast highlighting companies doing great things with great technology. My name's Anthony Spiteri, and in this episode, we're diving into a very, very new company, one that is the first decentralized content platform from creators, artists, musicians, celebrities, and fans integrated into the blockchain, which is really cool. And, really trying to build a new type of ecosystem with unique interactive features and monetizing tools built for creators. That company is Voya, and I'm talking to Dave Siles, the CEO of Voya. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. So, Dave, just before we start, and I guess I've always wanted to kind of do this sort of disclaimer at the start, but this show and the following is not investment advice, and you should do your own research into the companies or company mentioned before you take any investments. So just wanted to get that out of the way. And with that, I just wanted to quickly shout out for Great Things with Great Tech. So if you love the show, love Great Things with Great Tech, and would like to feature in future episodes, you can click on the link in the show notes or go to launch.gtwgt.com and register your interest. And just a reminder, all episodes of GTWGT are available on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe below. GTWGT is also on all good podcasting platforms, distributed by anchor.fm. So with that, Dave, let's talk about easily the newest company that I've had on the show, VOYR. And, let's talk a little bit about, you, yourself, your co-founders, and why you started the company.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we are fairly new. We've been in business for now about 4 months and publicly launched for about 2.5 weeks now. So, I guess definitely new. That said, my co-founders and I have all been friends for a long time. And when we were looking to build our company, and our parent company is called Voyager Media Group, but VOYR is our platform. So there's a little bit of overlap there. But when we were building Voyager out, we really wanted to look at disrupting a space that we knew we could have some substantial impact in. And as we started looking at, total addressable markets, which, we really wanted to get into something big, we looked at the social media space. And, social media has obviously been around for a long time. A lot of companies have come and gone, but one of the things that really holds true is that creators create the content on social media. And the social media platforms that exist today, really, while they give a platform for social creators, they don't necessarily give them all the best benefits. And so, looking at the dynamic of what we could extract from, the economics of the social media world, we knew we could get into this space and disrupt it. And, if you're in a innovative company and you can disrupt a space, you have a chance to really create your own niche and go at it. So we took a $90 billion market and said, if we can get into this space and build the company in such a way, leveraging, the tokenomics, or especially the economics of the blockchain, to give the creator essentially 100% control over their content and 100% control of their profit, we could do some substantial damage in this space and have a real impact. So that was our thesis, and that's how we built the company. We really are building this for the creators and the fans. We don't call ourselves a social media platform per se. We call ourselves a social exchange because there's benefit on both sides of it, right? And a social exchange, there should be equal value going both ways. Creators obviously get the chance of creating their content, owning their content, and monetizing that with 100% profit. But the fans can also come in and collect, memories, which we are calling our NFTs, and really get something that's going to have value, it's going to appreciate. And of course, because we're driven by cryptocurrency, anybody who holds and owns the VOYR utility token essentially is getting benefit back for that as well, because we have a reflections model that's built into our tokenomics. So everybody who's on the platform, anybody who's invested in the platform, wins.
Yeah, and that's a ton to digest. Let's break down a few of those bits and pieces, I think, over the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes, because I think a lot of the things that you said there excites a lot of people. The molding and bringing together of some great technologies, like traditional social media mixed with blockchain technology, the tokenomics that you mentioned, which some people might not know about, all the advantages of this new world, this decentralized finance world. This is where you've seen an opportunity to come in and disrupt, because I think firstly, let's talk about the reason, right? So you've seen an opportunity to come into a market where the big players dominate it, right? We know who the big players are. We don't need to mention them. They're huge, right? In fact, this show goes over, some of those mediums as well, right? But I guess, what you're trying to do by talking about decentralizing it, giving ownership back to, the creators, to the actual viewers themselves, to the consumers, that's a big part of it, isn't it? Because you're taking advantage of the whole decentralized, I guess, mantra of blockchain, and then putting that forward to a social media platform. Now, the big thing there is that what I heard out of that is that the creators are in full control of their own destiny, and there's no middlemen, which is fundamentally the reason why blockchain and crypto exists. Just talk a little bit about that and how Voya plays on that to give advantage to those creators.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, right? The fact that we're decentralized and leveraging, essentially blockchain on a DeFi model gives us the ability to break down the power broker exchange model, right? You don't have to have a middleman that's taking 25 to 50% of the profit to pay for their overhead and their operations. Because of the way we are building the platform, essentially we can take and give the creator not only the ability to create and monetize their own content and publish it on their own, but also then take advantage of essentially the power of cryptocurrency, appreciating in value over time, right?
Yeah.
The fact that, when you have a fiat-based transaction on these other social media platforms, that $10 of a subscription model is going to be $10 minus that fee, and it's only going to be $10.
Yeah.
If they're getting that transaction done on the VOYR platform, that $10 is going to be paid into cryptocurrency. Today, it may be worth $10. They hold that currency. It could be worth $100 tomorrow. It could be worth $1,000 a year from now.
Yeah.
By holding on to it, they actually are going to get yield advantage of building, a substantial value of an asset that they're holding, which is that cryptocurrency. So, it's not only the fact that, they get paid immediately, there is benefit to them understanding the economics of cryptocurrency. And one of the challenges that we're going to have in the creative world is helping educate the creators on how cryptocurrency works, why they want to hold, and, the benefits that they're going to have if they do. And, obviously we'll recognize for the full fact that some creators need this money immediately because it's their lifeline. We'll still have that kind of gateway so that they can take, the payment that was done in cryptocurrency back to fiat. But, there's some economics at play here that just allow this to happen. And, the reason why we built it on the blockchain is because, it's low overhead, right? The fact that I have a unique identity on the blockchain gives me authentication. The fact that, anybody can come and participate equally, democratized content, democratized distribution is something that we wanted to embrace. And, DeFi is all built around that, decentralization.
Yeah.
And so, the favoritism that exists on social media platforms doesn't exist on Voyager. Right?
Yeah. So just before we get into the platform, because I'm just interested in terms of, what it is, what it does, you're going to describe it. You've chosen to go down the path of, you talk about DeFi, you talk about fiat. So, fiat being, just basically normal money, stable currencies and all that kind of stuff, which people obviously love. But, and then there's also the fact that if they get paid in a specific token or a specific crypto, the chance, like you said, to go up is there. I guess at the same time, the chance is also to go down, but it's not quite the idea. And it's, moving forward, that's not how this world works. I mean, again, not investment advice, but I mean, there is the risk either way, right? So that's always there.
Sure.
Now you've chosen Binance. So you've chosen the Binance smart chain to basically hold the application or interact with the application for the tokenomics for the money. Why did you choose Binance over, say, an Ethereum blockchain? Why did you kind of choose the Binance to be your smart contract?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the economics of gas fees that exist today in the crypto world, right? Obviously Ethereum, would be ideal, but the cost of doing a transaction on Ethereum would break our model.
Tremendous.
The fact that Binance is a one-for-one copy of Ethereum, and it gives you the ability to do transactions in just seconds at a very fraction of the cost of Ethereum's gas fees today, make us the economical choice. If we get to a point where, proof of stake comes into play on Ethereum and 2.0 comes out, we could definitely cross-chain or re-platform onto another chain. We're not tied to Binance. We just happen to build on Binance because it provides the economics that we need.
Yeah, and that said, I mean, obviously there's a lot of other sort of smart chains out there. There's FTM, there's Polymatic. So there's a lot of other ones which people are starting to take notice of, and a lot of that bridging is starting to happen as well. So yeah, like you said, I assume that down the track you'll just basically see how it goes, and the development is happening so quick in that cross chain space that there might be opportunity to cross over. But there's no doubt that Binance is a very safe choice at the moment.
It is. I mean, it's obviously they become number one transaction chain in the world now. It's not a matter of if they're the largest; they are the largest now.
Yeah, and definitely.
Transaction volume, because of the cost, is why it's been driven there. But we're looking at everything. We're looking at Polygon, Matic, Cardano's coming out with smart contracts. There's a lot of opportunity, and again, if they're a platform that makes sense, we'll cross chain. I think we'll want to be at the front door of as many people as possible.
Awesome. That's crazy. So let's talk about that front door. Let's talk about the actual platform itself, right? So, you've got, then there's two parts to it. There's Voya, the platform, which is an application that you log into as a creator. So at the moment, it must be said that, it's an over 18 platform. So maybe just talk a bit about that, because I know that causes a little bit of, in the discussion, it's like, what is this really? I think I've read it to be, this is just basically a safe place for people, of creators of any type to get on and basically, leverage all the benefits that you've talked about. So maybe just talk a little bit about that, and then talk about the platform and the apps that you're going to basically release on top of the Voyager Me token.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we are framing ourselves to be 18 and above, and we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, legally, it makes it easier for us to manage compliance. So 18 or older are your legal age of majority in your country of residence. That said, content-wise, again, we want to be democratized. So, I like to say, if you want to see it in this legal, it'll be on VOYR. You really can think of VOYR as kind of like visual Reddit, right? You have all your subreddits, and if you want to come on and find your favorite artist, find their room on VOYR and view them. If you want to come in and you're a classical musician and you want to hang out with other classical musicians, fine, go do that. If you're an influencer and you're going to have your fans following and you want to have a walled garden where you have public content and then private content that they subscribe to, by all means come in. So we have this concept of views, right? Voyeuring is all about viewing things, and you'll have these views and you can choose whatever view you want to watch and tune in and drop into that. And so, that's kind of the room concept on the platform. That said, the platform, it is going to offer a unique set of features across all those views. We're starting with, obviously what people expect from a social media platform, your live daily content feed, the ability to have instant messaging and content distribution, whether that's video, live video, audio, or
all from the start.
Video.
So this is basically as you launch the app. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then, one of the things that we really wanted to do is then give the ability to have special type of content, right? Content that's not just, that static content that gets posted on the daily feed, but special content that can be minted as an NFT. So there's provenance behind it, that there's some value that goes along with it that can be bought, traded, and sold. Yeah. And then, with the ability to have the mentality that we're always creator first, the creator also gets the ability to have a royalty system built into the NFT marketplace. Right. And so that's actually the very first thing we launch. In a few weeks, we'll be launching what we call Memories by VOYR, and Memories is what we call NFTs on our platform. And again, it'll be a feature of the entire platform, but we're launching the NFT marketplace first, and that'll be coming out here in just a few weeks, so people can actually start experiencing VOYR, start leveraging the experience of how to buy, trade, and sell, NFTs. Yeah. And we're hoping that
that's a really cool entry.
The summer that we'll have a pretty substantial marketplace going, but it will be the entree into the full platform.
Yeah, and I think it's a very smart way as well, because obviously in this world, there's tons of what's the word? I don't want to use the term that most people use, but in this new world, because it is a new world, DeFi, Web3, there's this concept of token. There's tons of scams, right? There's tons of people just doing a token launch and rugging things and pulling the money out, and people are very, what's the word? Just skeptical, I guess. But if you can see, and this is why I'm attracted to this particular platform, if you can see true utility in a token, which is backed by something substantial, then that makes it real. Okay, and you've said all along that you're building a real platform here. You're not in it for a short term. Any of the holders, you know, you're not going to just basically pump and dump this this token, because it is a long-term situation, long-term plan. You've seen a real reason to build a platform to make a difference, right? Like, this is what I can see. And you've put in some really interesting guardrails in that to, I think, prove the point, right? Firstly, it was the way that you launched the pre-sale, which was really unique, I think, in this world, where you had something called Safe Sale, which you guys developed. But maybe just talk about that and talk about why that was so significant in, you know, the validity of the platform.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we did build our own launchpad, and we did it for two reasons. One is we really wanted to control the experience, and we didn't want to use an anonymous launchpad. You know, I'm not saying that some of the launchpads that exist out there that are anonymous are bad. I wanted to be able to call somebody if I had an issue. Secondly, you know, we really wanted to change how people look at funding a company, right? You know, my last few companies that I've started, you know, I've gone through the traditional VC route. And we wanted to challenge ourselves to build a company and crowdfund it, essentially, instead of having to go do this in the traditional way of going down Sand Hill Road and pounding on doors. That said, you know, it does require that you have some stability. And so what we did is we took the model that typically exists in a startup, where if you think about, you know, early investors, they essentially get what we call friends and family shares. And, you know, when the IPO happens or an exit happens, they don't necessarily get to unload those or sell those immediately. You know, they have to have a vesting period in time, right? And no different than, you know, an employee stock option plan, where you would get the stock and you vest over time.
Yeah.
So we wanted to build in a model that gave us the ability to have some stability out the gate by taking and investing, giving the opportunity for people to buy into the token, but in exchange for a higher ratio on the pricing scale, you know, we wanted them to give us essentially 180 days worth of commitment, and then we would vest back the token over that period of time. So taking the same model, applying it through a tokenomics model, but, you know, it's worked out quite well for us. I mean, obviously, you know, not everybody wanted to be in that, and we didn't force anybody to come in that way.
Yeah.
You know, we told people we're going to have this small period of time. You can come in through Safe Sale, and if you don't, you know, when we launch in the public market, free market economy, come in and join us that way.
Yeah, and that definitely happened, right? And we might touch on that, because one of the things, and we might touch on radical transparency, because that's part of the Voya messaging as well. But just on that Safe Sale, I think it was kind of like an exciting element of it, right? Because, and the people that bought into that obviously believed in the vision, in the platform in the long term, because 180 days in this world is a long time, right? Like, it's like half a year of holding on to something. And obviously the vesting was pretty cool as an idea, letting that go, you know, over time, and you get a little bit pumped in, and so you can see your coins and your tokens growing. But I think what it showed is that people really believed in this, and it wasn't just a pump and dump, because it couldn't be. It's kind of like anti-whale, anti-bot sort of system, right? Which worked beautifully. It did work.
It did. Yeah, we didn't have any bots buy us up.
Sorry, go ahead.
We didn't have any bots buy us up. It definitely did work.
Yeah, which I think is kind of groundbreaking for the whole industry when you think about it. Like, so there's something there as well. So, you know, that's awesome. And then, you know, talking about radical transparency, why don't you talk about that? Because I think this has been one of the other great things about this particular company, the Voya, yourselves with your co-founders, Enrique and Brendan, is that you guys have been radically transparent. Talk about that and why that's so important in this space.
Well, I mean, it's something that I've done in my last couple companies that I founded. You know, I believe that, you know, an open door policy gets everybody on the same page. And if everybody's on the same page, there's no ambiguity, right? You know, people don't have to guess what's going on. They know. And so we took that model and said, when we started the company, we wanted to have, you know, open AMAs on a weekly basis. We wanted to have open board meetings. I mean, we're an incorporated company. We actually have open board meetings. So, you know, anybody who wants to come in and listen to our board meeting can actually do that. And that radical transparency, you know, is through and through. I mean, we explain boards and all, right? We obviously, as part of our launch, we had to redo our contract, and that was something that, you know, some people would try to sweep under the rug, and, you know, we're very transparent about it. We explained why we had to do it.
Yeah,
we walked everybody through how we had to do it, and, you know, we took, you know, very open stance with it. And obviously, you know, for some people that you know, that they weren't happy about that, And I'm a firm believer that if you're, honest with everybody, you have to give them a chance to give you open criticism. We do. So,
Yeah.
as part of our transparency, it goes both ways. So, we're always open book. And if anybody jumps in our Discord or a Telegram, they'll know that anybody can ask me a question, as long as it's a legitimate question or, fair criticism, we're happy to take it. And I think one of the things that's really worked out well for us because of radical transparency is that, even though we had this period of time where we had to redo the contract, it was a little bit of rough water, but it's really, I think people see that we really are genuine and that we're sticking true to our word. And so, we're getting rewarded for that now in the market space.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think, like you said, I mean, we obviously witnessed it from the other end, and, it was great to see the reasoning why. I mean, you wanted to make things right to start with. And it's really just, I think, even more solidified the legitimacy of this project and where you guys want to take it, right? And I think you've also done that with the token itself. So, Voya Me, $Voya Me on the Binance Smart Chain, that's the token. We'll paste all the links in the show notes a little bit later on to how you can kind of get it and whatnot. But also the thing that you did is you locked in some cake liquidity for 12 months against, the contract. Just explain why that's also important, and why, again, it just shows to the commitment of this thing being a real utility moving forward and in the future for the creators.
Yeah, I mean, the very first contract we did, we actually burnt the cake tokens because we committed to doing that. So we locked up a substantial amount of money, almost what was about $350,000
wow
in liquidity, and we burnt those tokens. So when we had to respawn the contract, unfortunately, that liquidity was gone. Right, you burn the cake tokens, you can't pull that cake pair back out. So,
yeah.
We had to do the next best thing, and that was buy down as much as we could of the liquidity through token sales. And the reason why you do this is obviously you want to give people belief that their investment is safe and that you're not going to get rugged. We obviously had to buy down our liquidity, and as we were buying down our liquidity, people said, "Well, you're rugging us now." But we were very transparent what we were doing.
Exactly.
This time around, because we knew that we were going to grow and we're going to have to get on other exchanges at some point. You always have to take liquidity to every exchange you want to get on. So we locked up the liquidity again this time for a year. We're fully committed to relocking that for another year if we don't need to touch it for any kind of exchange expansion. But essentially the same thing. We put a lock on it. And not only is it locked for the liquidity pool, all the founders have a chunk of equity, obviously ourselves, and all of our equity is locked as well. So there's not a way for us even to sell out ourselves.
Yeah,
and
this is a real company, right? This is a real, this is a thing which I think people need to understand here. This is something real that is going to have long-term benefit and long-term impact. Obviously, we can't predict how the future is going to be, but if the vision is correct and if it's executed upon, I think Tremendous has got huge potential, and just having that backing of what you just said makes it all the more kind of real for that, from that sense, and that's great in itself. Again, having utility in a token is key, and this has absolute utility with this platform moving forward. Maybe let's just talk about the tokenomics and the transaction tax and whatnot, because I think that's important as well, because you've really thought about this in terms of how it's structured, in terms of the marketing funds that you've got, the supply pool and what you're burning. And then in terms of the transaction tax, the 6%, it's split in a really interesting way. So maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, the secret to our success, and the reason why we can give 100% of the profit back to the creator, is because the token pays for the transactional operation of the business. So every transaction on the platform that's a buy or sell has a 6% token tax in it. So if you were to spend $100 or send 100 VOYR, you would get 94 on the receiving end. We take that 6%, we break it out a couple different ways. First, 2% of it gets reflected back to all holders. Again, that's why we say it pays to hold VOYR. So anybody who has tokens on their account will automatically get a percentage of that 2% back based on the percentage of the pool that they hold. The next 2% go back into liquidity. So we're always growing the liquidity in our exchange where we swap with Pancake Swap, and that 2% gets swapped and liquefied into that liquidity pool. So that's always growing. And that just benefits all shareholders as well, or all token holders again. And then 1% goes into an operations fund. That's how we fund the company. And the operations fund is going to grow with the value or with the volume on the platform. We've modeled it out so that we know when we get to scale, essentially, we have 500,000 users on the platform, more than pays for the entire operation of the company.
Yeah. Which
lastly,
can I just say that's amazing in itself, right? Self-funding through the blockchain. It's just brilliant in terms of seeding a company. And it's like TV stuff, right? What you heard on TV a few years ago. I mean, Silicon Valley, I think, had this concept about 4 or 5 years ago, but it's a reality now, which is so exciting on this blockchain.
That's right. That's right. We seeded it, but then it'll essentially fulfill its own prophecy. And then the last 1% goes to charity. We have a charitable giving commitment to here at the company. So 1% of our time, 1% of our resources, and 1% of all transactional token transactions will go to charity. And we'll be making our first charitable donation here at the end of the month.
Awesome. That's great stuff. All right, so let's kind of finish off by talking a little bit about, because obviously I love talking about the technology. So in terms of the platform, and you guys have been open about this, and the CTO even shared like a little high-level diagram of the application and how it works and how it plugs in. So it's hosted on AWS at the moment. All startups host on some sort of public cloud until they reach some sort of scale, right, and have to do it themselves. That's the big story. So you've got the traditional building blocks of a web application, backend database, all the cool stuff that we love to talk about. And then you plug into the Web3 to do all the contracting and all that kind of stuff. Maybe just talk a little bit about that. Obviously not in great detail, but that's really intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, we we're building it on AWS for sure right now, and it's essentially a Node.js backend with the React web front end. We're a web app, both mobile and desktop reactive, responsive, I should say. People keep asking us, when you're going to have a native app on iOS or Android.
Already.
Unfortunately, those app stores are not crypto friendly, or the subscription cut that they want 30% of every transaction you do, which essentially breaks our economics model. So we're not in a rush to try to build native app from that perspective. That said, one of the unique things about the blockchain is the Web3, wallet gives us the ability to have identity. So, I don't have to manage usernames and passwords or anything like that. You bring your wallet, you identify and verify your age, and then we assign those two together, and that's your identity. So you come back to the platform, you re-authenticate with your wallet, and you're in the front door, right? And from that perspective, it makes it even a little bit easier than building traditional applications having to do auth and things like that. So, we are building some traditional, integration stuff that you would expect to see in the social media platform, like, video interaction and, obviously stored content on, cold storage and, hot object storage, things along those lines.
Yep.
But, the blockchain offers opportunities there as well. I mean, we're not going to use IPFS to start right now, but there's some things that we could do, or, if it becomes more reliable and we have a guarantee of service, we could even, move more and more of it onto the blockchain.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And it's kind of, and the NFTs are that first start. So the memories that you talked about, let's just highlight that for a sec, because that's an important step. So just talk a bit about the memories that are coming. That's your first launch, and I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks, and it'll be there. And it seeds the platform and what it is. It's the first step. What's that going to be like as an experience?
Yeah. So for anybody who's done any kind of NFT so far, it'll be pretty much, a typical experience of what you would see in an NFT market space. That said, we are going to have a couple of unique things that we think are, beneficial to us. For one, we are going to carve out, the ability for, cross sharing of NFTs inside the platform. We're also going to give the ability for creators to upload content and then allow it to be lazy minted or minted on demand, so that they don't necessarily have to come up with the creative idea for the NFT. They can upload, their pictures and videos and say, I want to authorize this to become an NFT, and let the creator fans come in and say, I want to have a copy of this picture, and lazy mint it out. We're pretty excited about it. We're going to have audio, video, and still images obviously on the platform, but we're also going to bring in, the crossover between the physical art world and the digital art world.
Wow.
As part of our launch, we've got a world famous, renowned artist by the name of Tiago. It's going to be joining us. We'll be making some press announcements, so I guess I'm kind of breaking the news here, but awesome. Tiago will be a launch partner for us, and he's going to create a custom NFT himself, and and that will be a physical piece that'll have a digital representation. So
Wow.
it'll be bought and sold on the blockchain, but if you buy it, you will get a piece of physical art.
That's awesome. And this is the whole exciting part of this, right? This is not your mum and pop sort of social media platform, right? It's breaking ground with the technology, doing the great things with the tech that you're working on. That's awesome. So maybe talk, you've got an ambassador recruitment drive as well. Obviously, to make this platform work, you need to get people across and onto it. So give a bit of a shout out for that and what's involved there.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So we have an open call right now for any creator that wants to come on the platform. Again, if you're 18 or older and you're legal age and majority in your country residents, by all means, you're welcome. You can go to voya.me, go to be a creator, learn all about the platform. We have an incentive program for ambassadors to come on. Our goal is to onboard 100,000 creators and fans this year. Whoa. And we're eagerly signing them up. And as part of the sign up process, you're not only going to get a chance to pick out kind of your user ID and things like that for the platform, but then you also get early access into memories. So if you want to be on the platform and start selling NFTs, we'll help you get educated and get there. And we're doing all this ramping up to get ready to launch. The platform itself, memories will be out July 5th, and then the VOYR platform itself will be out in late August. So we're really want to get creators on board. And we know one of the things that happen is creators bring the fans, right? People don't have allegiance to social media platforms. They have allegiance to people who create the content. So, as the creators come over, the fans will come with it. And obviously, that drives the secret to our success, because as people come on and start utilizing utility token VOYR and start leveraging the platform, that's obviously how we grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So and that's the key, right? Getting these people on the platform, making it grow. It just becomes, you've talked about five tell five. It just becomes almost like a tsunami of people coming. And once one person, and especially in this influencer space, as soon as one person says, "Hey, this platform right here is pretty good, let's take a look at it," that's how it grows, and it becomes exponential. So I think that's really exciting. And hopefully that target that you set of 100,000 is going to be reached. But, from what you've talked about, I really think that it's possible. Right, let's start to wrap up. Well, again, this is something we could talk about this for hours, right? But I'd love to just kind of wrap it up and talk a little bit about, just give a few shout outs, talk about anything that you want to promote the platform, do the token, go for your life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, appreciate you having us today, but we really want to welcome everybody onto the platform. And whether you're a creator or a fan, or if you're a fan of crypto and you want to be an investor, by all means, please come join us. You can learn all about the platform at voyager.me, and our tokenomics, our technical white papers are all there. Again, if you're a creator, please come join us on the platform. We'll open you with open arms. Everybody's welcome into the VOYR family. If you are a social type of person and you want to follow us, we're pretty much at VoyerMe on every social media platform. And obviously we'll be that on our own platform as well when we launch. So again, come and join us. And don't forget July 5th. If you are in the market space for some digital art, come join us on Memories by VOYR and enjoy the NFT market space.
Awesome. Looking forward to this ride. This is going to be really interesting. And I really wanted to have you on because this sort of stuff excites me. It's the epitome of doing great things with great tech. So thanks, Dave. Thanks, Voya. And just to remind you, if you're not subscribed to the show and you'd like to be, please click on the link on the show notes, or click the subscribe button, or go to anchor.fm and follow the path to all the various podcasts. Again, if you'd like to go to gtwgt.com, you can find me at Anthony Spiteri or at GTWGT Podcast. And again, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Voya. We'll put all of the great goodness about the links and about Voya in the show notes. And with that, we will see you next time on Great Things with Great Tech.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
All right.